Remember the spine-chilling sound of a revving chainsaw that haunted our dreams after watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film? Well, brace yourselves, because that terror has now invaded the gaming realm. In this piece, we'll delve deep into the heart of Texas, exploring the adrenaline-pumping world of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. We'll uncover the blood-curdling adventures awaiting players and the iconic Leatherface's role in this gaming masterpiece. So grab your controllers and maybe a pillow to hide behind, because things are about to get gruesomely exciting. Background and development. Debuting in 1974, this low-budget horror flick didn't just scare audiences, it traumatized them. Directed by Tobe Hooper, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film introduced the world to Leatherface, a chainsaw-wielding maniac inspired by the real-life crimes of Ed Gein. Over the years, the film spawned sequels, reboots, and even a 3D version. Talk about slicing and dicing through the decades. And now, with this game, we get to experience that terror firsthand. Developed by Gun Interactive, this game is a celebration of all things Texas Chainsaw. For starters, eagle-eyed fans will have noticed that its release date, August 18th, was the 50th anniversary of the events that take place in its inaugural film. The objective? Simple: survive. But with Leatherface on your tail, that's easier said than done. Players must work together, strategize, and use their wits to escape the clutches of the chainsaw-wielding maniac. Gameplay mechanics. Gun Interactive had big shoes to fill with this game, but play one match of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and it's clear they were up to the task. This game is Gun's second asymmetric horror title based on a popular horror IP, after Friday the 13th, which was not only a hit, but one of the earlier games to capitalize on the trend of asymmetrical horror. For those unfamiliar, asymmetrical horror is a gameplay format that pits two teams up against each other, usually in some type of victim against killer format. While there have been many takes on this genre, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre brings its own flavor to the table with a 3v4 format. For the players who relish the thrill of the chase, they can choose to play as one of the three iconic killers from the Texas Chainsaw universe. Whether it's the Leatherface, the Hitchhiker, or the Cook, each killer offers a distinct playstyle. This trio of terror works in tandem, using their unique abilities to hunt, corner, and eliminate their prey. On the flip side, the victims aren't just helpless lambs waiting for the slaughter. Players can choose from a variety of characters, each with their own backstory, strengths, and weaknesses. To survive, they must work together, utilizing the environment, setting up traps, and outsmarting the killers. Communication and teamwork are crucial, as going solo can often lead to a swift demise. Keeping in mind the 3v4 format, the game puts plenty of thought into ensuring that one side isn't more powerful than the other. For example, Leatherface has enhanced abilities that make him a formidable opponent, but the game balances this by limiting his vision and making him reliant on audio cues to track down survivors. And thanks to the size of the map, finding victims isn't as easy as it looks. Here's where Grandpa comes in, the legendary serial killer whose glory days might be behind him, but whose expertise remains invaluable. By offering him the blood of your prey, or the scattered remains found throughout the level, you can harness his uncanny ability to detect victims, even through walls, with his unsettling cry. Character Spotlight: Leatherface. Born from the twisted mind of Tobe Hooper, this chainsaw-wielding maniac became an instant icon in the horror genre. Inspired by the real-life crimes of Ed Gein, Leatherface's terrifying presence, complete with a mask made of human skin, has spooked and scared audiences worldwide. Paying homage to the original film, the game actually features Kane Hodder as Leatherface, who also played the character as a stunt double in the 1990 film Leatherface: The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Edwin Neal lends his voice to the Hitchhiker, reprising his role from the original film, adding another layer of authenticity. In the game, Leatherface's role is as menacing as ever. As one of the game's primary antagonists, players can harness his brutal strength, agility, and, of course, his iconic chainsaw to hunt down victims. It's one thing to watch Leatherface on the big screen, but it's an entirely different experience to control his every move, strategize the hunt, and deliver the final blow. And for those of you who've ever dreamt of stepping into Leatherface's shoes, this game is your golden ticket. Honestly, who hasn't wanted to chase their friends around with a chainsaw after they ate the last slice of pizza? Graphics, sound, and atmosphere. When you boot up the game, the first thing that hits you is probably the sheer visual fidelity of the game. It's like stepping into a time machine and being transported back to the 70s, but with the clarity of a 4K TV. The game's design and graphics are meticulously crafted to capture the essence of the iconic horror franchise, and the environments are eerily realistic. From the rusted hooks and the dilapidated farmhouses to the sun-baked Texas countryside. Now let's talk about sound. If you ever wanted to know what it feels like to have a chainsaw revving right behind you, this game has got you covered. The sound design is nothing short of a masterclass in horror. From the distant hum of Leatherface's chainsaw to the eerie silence of the Texas countryside, every auditory element is designed to keep players on the edge of their seats. And trust me, when you're hiding in a locker, praying Leatherface doesn't find you, the pounding of your in-game heart syncs perfectly with your real one. Reception and community feedback. When the game first launched, the gaming community was buzzing like Leatherface's chainsaw on a Saturday night. While some critics praised the game for its atmospheric design and attention to detail, others felt it was a bit of a missed opportunity. The game's visual appearance was often lauded, with many noting that the eerie environments and character designs were spot on. However, some critics pointed out that the game mechanics could be a tad clunky at times, making it less like a terrifying chase and more like a slightly stressful jog in the park. Hardcore fans of the film felt a deep connection to the game, praising its ability to capture the essence of the original. They loved the inclusion of familiar locations and characters, and many felt it was like stepping into the movie itself. However, some players pointed out issues with gameplay mechanics and character balance. There were debates on gaming forums about which characters were overpowered and which ones needed a buff. The developer's vision. In the ever-evolving world of horror gaming, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has carved out a niche for itself, and not just with Leatherface's iconic chainsaw. The developers set out with a clear vision to offer gamers an experience that would not only terrify, but also endure. They were determined to avoid the pitfalls that ensnared other titles, like Friday the 13th. The TCM team made it very clear. Their game was here to stay. Their commitment to the game's longevity was evident in their proactive approach to community engagement. From hosting QA sessions to giving fans a peek behind the curtain with behind-the-scenes content, they've been transparent about their roadmap. The promise of continuous content updates, potential DLCs, new maps, and the tantalizing possibility of other horror icons joining the fray has kept the community abuzz with excitement. The game's release saw a migration of sorts. Many Dead by Daylight content creators, lured by the fresh mechanics and the undeniable allure of Leatherface, found themselves gravitating towards TCM. Some even went so far as to say they preferred it over DBD. It's like watching your favorite TV show and then discovering a spin-off that might just be better. And while many creators have been on a TCM binge, the question on everyone's lips is, will they return to DBD? Especially when they can play as DBD Bubba, DBD's own take on Leatherface. The gaming community is a fickle beast, with loyalties that can shift as quickly as a jump scare. But let's rewind a bit. Before TCM's release, the rumor mill was in overdrive. Whispers spread that Leatherface would be axed from DBD, a move that seemed plausible given TCM's impending launch. The DBD community, still reeling from the removal of Stranger Things content, was on edge. But Behavior Interactive soon quashed these rumors. Leatherface wasn't going anywhere. But what truly sets this game apart is how it captures the essence of the original film. It's not just a carbon copy, it's a love letter to the franchise. Remember that scene in the original where Leatherface chases Sally through the woods? Now imagine that, but your Sally and your best friend is screaming advice at you over voice chat. It's nostalgia meets modern gaming in the best way possible. As we wrap up, remember, in the pixelated world of horror, chainsaws never really go silent. Ready to jump back in? Leatherface is always up for round 2.